say confidence wins games, but overconfidence, that's how you lose teams that you should steamroll. Whether it's a Friday night blowout or a Sunday trap game, the moment you think it's in the bag, that's when the bag gets fumbled. Welcome back to the Hoggie Shuffle this week. A little different, we're actually together. I'm up in Kelowna visiting Bobby. We're in the Raidersville here, the Raiders zone. You can see that we got a nice new promo coming out though with the flag. So we got a little bit of merch going here as well too. Want to get some hoodies and shirts happening soon. Big focus on this week's episode is going to be talking about making sure that you come out confident for a game, but you don't come out too confident. Right. Because when you go underprepared, you're going to see what's happening. We actually had to watch a game last night, local game here in town where the Sun came out against Prince George, and I'll tell you, they came out flat, real flat.
They're negative. Like they couldn't move the ball, and they were playing a much lesser team, and that much lesser team actually showed them, hey, you didn't prepare for us, and we punched you in the face real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was 11-0 at one point, and the Sun had been up 40 points on every other team in the league that they've played so far, and it was not that Sun that we've seen.
And I'll tell you, if we watched the whole game, if they had played the way they played in the fourth quarter the entire game, it would have been a shutout. It would have been disgusting. But they came too overconfident, underprepared, and that's what we're here to talk about. So, welcome back to this week's episode of the Hoggie Shuffle. We're breaking down mental collapse that stems from overconfidence and underpreparing. Then we're going to spotlight, obviously, some offensive linemen. We always do the spotlight. Drop a couple flags in the play, deep dive in some, there's a certain guy in the Hall of Fame this week we want to talk about. A lineman got called up, and, one of the most feared edge rushers ever. And he's finally getting his gold jacket in 2025.
And P.S., he should have the record for sacks, but the NFL kind of screwed him over on that one. It's got to say that out
loud. So obviously, opening segment here, talking about Coach's Corner. Something we do every week. We want to talk about this kind of stuff. And like I said before, big focus this week is going to be on overconfidence and underpreparing. So big thing is, why trap games aren't always about the X's and O's. They're about attitude, they're about approach. So, I always like to say a couple of NFL things. Cowboys versus Cardinals 2 years ago, Dallas, they entered as a 28-point favorite, flat on the mental edge. They got dominated in the trenches despite facing a backup quarterback. I do believe I think Cardinals put up 222 rushing yards that game.
Wow.
Shouldn't have happened.
Wow.
Another one, obviously, 2 years ago, Eagles versus Commanders. Philly was coming off an 8-0 season, and Commanders knew what they needed to get done. They knew that if they just held the ball and didn't let Philly's offense get on the field very much, it wasn't going to be good for them, and it didn't go well.
I think that one game in that time in the moment really derailed Philly's season that year.
Oh yeah, it shook everything up, and it was to Heineke. It shouldn't have happened, but this year or last year they were playing against Jaden Daniels out there. That's a team that's successful. That's a team that can win games. Like this team in 22 was not that same type of team, and again the Eagles came in there taking it just too easy, and it just doesn't work.
Walkthroughs should mimic the energy of the playoff install, regardless of your opponent. And basically, what that means is that it doesn't matter if you're playing the Cleveland Browns or if you're playing, the Philadelphia Eagles. You should take each team with, that grain of salt. You should know every single play they do, and you should treat them like you're playing the best team in the league, no matter what, every single Sunday.
You have to.
You break down film. You're playing top-tier competitors. You got to make sure you're doing everything week in and week out. It's very key. Your veteran leadership, they're the guys that need to be pushing. Hey, we're playing a lesser team this week, but let's not hold ourselves to their level. Let's make sure that we know they're playing the best every single day. And that goes for, high school coaches, everybody out there. You need to work those things. You run intentional competitive install days, hold players accountable on every rep, and never assume an easy game is coming, guys.
No, because I can tell you what, from playing and coaching experience, when you take a team too lightly, that's how you get punched in the mouth. And that halftime speech has got to be something riveting to those boys, or else I'll tell you what, it's going to be a really cutty bus ride home.
We were very lucky and fortunate to have a coach like that we got to coach with, and that Preston got to have as his head coach. And it didn't matter which team we played for. He was always that adamant about, hey, it doesn't matter if we're playing the Schlubs today. It doesn't matter if we're playing the best team in Alberta, wherever we were. He made sure that we were always prepared for every single game. And when it came to that speech before the game, you could tell that no matter what, he prepared, and he got his guys ready every single week for even the crappiest teams out there.
You have to. And that comes down to watching film. That comes down to having mock offenses of what they're running, and that's where it really comes down to coaching ability, is making sure that you can break down those teams and know what they're going to run. Again, even if they're one of those teams that you think you're going to blow out, if you give the kids or you give the team that mentality to go in like that, it's not going to go great. You can hold that in your heart. You can know that in your head and your heart that you're going to beat that team. But if you show your team and you show all the other coaches and you show everybody else that you think that way, it makes for a really bad environment and a really bad season.
Like I can remember when Preston was in high school, every single year we played this small town called Valley View, Alberta, and we played them every year. And, we always prepared for them very well, but it still didn't matter that every year we showed up there and they put 7 points on us right fast. If it was a kick return touchdown, if it was a broken play on defense, they always scored the first touchdown against us 3 years in a row, and it was something that we still laugh about, and we make jokes about it, because it was just like we had the mecca of football in northern Alberta, and it didn't matter. They still could put points on us.
Oh, yeah. And that's what it comes down to, guys. Coaches, players, anybody, the biggest point of advice I can give you is never take anybody lightly. Never think that you're going to just instantly win that rep by not putting the work in. Because if you don't want to put the work in to be successful, you're not going to be successful. That's the simple math of it all.
1,000%. And coaches out there, don't change your game plan week to week necessarily just because you're getting a softer team. You don't look at, hey, we got all these young guys on the bench. We need to make sure that we're sticking our guns up as fast as we can to get to 21 points. And, hey, if you got time to get your young guys in and your second stringers in, that's awesome. Like, that's what we all coach for. We coach for the development of football. But at the end of the day, you got to coach your ones to play ones against their ones all the time.
Always. All right, guys, rolling into the next segment we're going to roll into is obviously the big guy spotlight, something we do every week. We want to talk about the guys, sometimes O-line, sometimes D-line, and just seeing what they can do and how they're going to progress and get better and better and better. So this week, my guy's going to be Teair Tart. He's a D tackle for the Los Angeles Chargers. He was signed by Miami in 24, April. Then he was released in August, joined the Chargers on August 15th. In 24 last year, he played all 17 games for the Chargers. He had 29 tackles, 15 solo, 14 assists. He had a sack, forced fumble, 2 pass defenses, and an interception.
Oh, as a D lineman?
As a D tackle. Wow. Right? His career totals over 5 seasons, he's at about 98 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, and 9 pass deflects. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a reliable A-gap penetrator in a nickel and goal line packages. He's bringing disruptive presence on the free edge rushers, and Miami's defense got revamped hard. Obviously, no, I don't like that part. At the end of the day, he's a reliable A-gap penetrator in nickel and goal line packages. He's bringing disruptive presence and freeing edge rushers that they can just come off the line and just be successful. I mean, that's the kind of D tackle you want on the team, that you know that on those inside gaps, he's holding his gap, he's coming through, and he's just being a monster.
Right. I got, Super Bowl champion here, Tyler Steen, right guard for the Philadelphia Eagles, drafted in 23 in the 3rd round with the 65 overall pick. Appeared in all 17 regular season games in the 2024 campaign. Made 2 starts to log in a career-high 316 snaps for the Philadelphia Eagles. Career totals, 28 games played, 3 starts. So, he's been plug-and-play. He's a plug-and-play kind of guy.
There,
You know what I mean? But we know about the offensive line, guys. It's like, without a 6th man or a 7th man, your offensive line will never be successful. You need to have that guy for when your big guys, they're playing every snap, they're doing all the things. You need to have guys out there that are getting reps. Just let your big guys get off. PFF grade in 2024 overall, 40.6, so among 131st out of 136 guards, at a 37.7 pass blocking, about 112, 50.6 run blocking at 124th in the league. That's still pretty good numbers for a guy that's drafted that late as an offensive lineman.
Like, he's not a starter. He's not the guy or anything like that, but he has the potential to get up there and be the guy. And that's the whole point of this big guy spotlight, is we're not always talking about the best of the best. We want to talk about guys that are up and coming, guys that can, be successful in coming years as well.
Why is he so important, guys? Because your backup guys, like I just said, they're the most important guys on your field. They give your starters those reps. And as I said, they give them the breaks. He's got long levers. He's tackle. He's got great feet. You give him the upside to earn starting gigs, showcasing a player on the cusp, polishing his tools over time. This guy's going to be a starter soon in the league, and probably for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, man. I mean, like I said, he's going to work hard. He's getting up there. He's pushing for that spot. And that's the nice thing of Stoutland's offensive line, is he always puts the best guy up there. It doesn't matter if you've been there 5 years, 10 years. If you're the best guy, you're taking that spot. That's how it works.
100%.
Rolling to the next segment. That was short and sweet. We're going to do flag on the play. Now, and this is something we probably talked about every single week for the last 3 weeks, but it's been on the radar. It's been on the, it's what everyone wants to talk about. That's going to be Jerry Jones fumbling another star player.
Oh, hurts my heart.
Like, to know that you're that crappy of an owner that you're going to try, like I seen the post he made where, Jerry Jones was trying to take it out and say that, all those conversations that he had with him, were that was the contract negotiations, and Micah's just like, no, I wanted my agent to be part of those negotiations. Like that none of that was formal. None of that was how I wanted it to be. And like they're botching Micah Parsons. Like he's one of the top 3 best defensive ends in the league. And he's eligible for a contract extension. He's going into year 4 of his rookie deal. He was obviously a 2021 first round pick. And he said he's not rushing to re-sign. He's focused on football, which is players speak for, I don't like the number you're showing me. And he also has definitely said in that post that at the end of the day, he was going to sign. He wanted to sign last year. He wanted to sign before all these guys got their big deals because he wanted to be a Cowboy. He wanted to be in that program, be, like he said, make America's greatest team again. And they're just not giving him the love he deserves.
Like he's got the Tom Brady effect, guys. And I don't mean that as in a football sense and being the greatest quarterback or greatest football player of all time. But he understands the amount of dollars he needs to survive and make on his contracts. But he also understands the amount of dollars that he needs to leave on the table so that they can get better guys on their team. And that's what he's trying to do. Like he's trying to take a little bit lesser money. But for some reason, I don't know what it is about Jerry Jones that he can't see past his own nose and see how important this guy is on the field and off the field. He's a great team leader. And especially as a young guy, he's doing the right things to be on the Dallas Cowboys.
Like, he's one of the most valuable defensive players in the league. 40.5 sacks, 89 quarterback hits, 7 forced fumbles in 3 seasons. He's been first-team All-Pro every single year. He's the only other player with 90-plus pressures in each of his last 2 seasons. Like, he should be one of the highest-paid defensive players in the league. But Jerry Jones is dragging his feet again, just like he did with DeMarcus Lawrence, just like he did with Dak Prescott, just like he did with Des Bryant. I mean, for some reason, he thinks he has all this control over these guys, like he owns them or something like that. And I get it, he owns the team. He has the power to do what he wants with his program. But at the end of the day, you see why they're not going to be a playoff contender and be successful is because they have an owner like this.
100%. I think you hit it the head on the nail. As a GM and an owner, he feels like he has some part of like telling these guys what they can do and what they can't do and where they're going to be in life. And you look at a guy like Parsons, it's just like that guy, his future it's limitless. He's just that type of guy.
Oh, man, he's just ridiculous. And Jerry's pattern delay, he always waits until players force the issue, which inflates the cost, has terrible media attention because of it. He loves the spotlight, but he lets his ego get in the way of building a complete roster. He still hasn't handed over GM duties or modernized the Cowboys front office. He treats contract negotiations like poker matches instead of protecting the core. And the biggest thing is the impact on the locker room. So now Parsons is vocal. He's an emotional leader. He's not extending him, sends a bad message to the rest of the guys on the team that you think they want to be there? You think they want to keep being around that kind of environment? Like players like Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, Tyler Smith are all watching how this plays out. And if Micah starts entertaining trade talks or slows down an effort to avoid injury risk, it's going to tank the defense's intensity. So, I mean, at the end of the day, bottom line is Micah Parsons is not someone you want to gamble with. I would love if he came over to the Birds. Rob would love if he came to any program out there would love if he came to their teams because he's just such a good player and a good guy. And if Jerry Jones doesn't figure this out, he could be watching another Cowboys window close before it ever really even opens. So my flag on the play is going to be a 15-yard for owner neglect because at the end of the day, he is silly.
Straight up.
Just crazy to me.
Okay, guys, this was a little bit cultural one. This one's like we got 49ers O-line depth could derail them as a contender. And
for sure.
And we all know, like we speak week in and week out, with your O-line, if you're a solid O-line, you could have a mediocre quarterback and a mediocre running back, and you're going to be still in the plus, right? Like Trent Williams, still one of the best left tackles in football, but behind him it gets really ugly. And let's be honest, Trent Williams is getting up there in age. Like,
he's 35 this year.
I seen a clip last week who was having temper tantrums on the field because guess what? They got Bosa in there now, and Bosa's giving him a fit day in and day out every day. You got backup tackles like Jalen Moore, and you got Leroy Watson, the fourth. You got backup tackles like Jalen Moore and Leroy Watson, the fourth, have been struggling badly during the 2025 training camp, especially, in joint practices with the Raiders and the Chargers. Camp reports concerns that, beat writers like David Lombardi and Matt Monaco have reported that Moore is consistently losing edge reps second string rushers. And let's be honest, like you got your number ones against your number twos. We should be pancaking them every single time, right? both players are also having trouble with the twist and blitz pickup, especially when lines up against like a 9-tech defender or nickel pressure. You got what really matters. Like Brock Purdy relies on timing and rhythm. Let's be honest, he's not a huge arm quarterback. He's not big. He can't run. He needs the time to throw the ball. He's not a Mahomes. He's not a Lamar. He can't escape chaos consistently. When Purdy faced pressure in 24, it was pretty bad. Like when they got after Purdy, and you seen it in big games last year, when they got after Purdy and didn't allow him to throw the ball and they didn't allow him to run play action, it was really tough. Like, passer rating dropped from a clean 106.6 to a 71.3 under pressure. That is big, big, big. PFF grade under pressure, 61.8, 23rd among all starting quarterbacks. Now, you call him Mr. Irrelevant, but again, without that offensive line, guys, you ain't moving the ball.
No, his only option is to hand it off. And again, without the offensive line, where's McCaffrey going to go? What's he going to do? You're just going to see another injury again. That's the reality of that. It doesn't matter who they have out there. If the O-line's not blocking properly, it's not going to work well.
Shanahan's system can make O-line issues with motion and play action, but if you're not protected, it breaks down at the snap. Historical problems for the 49ers in the past, this isn't new. In 2023, the right side, Colton McKivitz, was a weak link to the Eagles and the Browns and the Ravens all exposed him. With Trent Williams, like I just said, being 36 years old, any missed time is a disaster waiting to happen. And he could be down week one. Like one thing bad could happen to him. Like his body's not regenerating as fast as it used to be. And unlike past years, there's no swing tackles they trust. They don't even have a sixth lineman, like we just said. Like they're running on their 5 guys. Daniel Bernski, who they lost to last year. You know what I mean? The 49ers are a top tier roster, but their O-line behind Williams is a liability. It's bad. If Trent Williams even misses 2-3 games, expect Shanahan to go max pro rollouts, and they'll be running everything out of play action,
tight formations.
Right? It'll be just clustered mess everywhere. The NFC, it's loaded. The margins for error are razor thin, and it starts in the trenches.
100%. That's a complete flag on the play.
15-yarder.
Just brutal. All right, guys, we're going to roll into the Wheel of Teams.
Wheel of Teams.
So, just like last week, we're going to roll into the Wheel of Teams, where we're going to pick 2 teams and just see at the end of the day which guy would obviously do better in that situation. Which team's going to win versus the other. We'll pick, obviously, one team, do it 3 times. We'll go over the list and kind of see what we get. All right. So, first team on the board.
On Miami Dolphins.
We got New England Patriots. Okay. Versus Arizona Cardinals. See, that's a good game.
I like this.
That's a good game. That's a solid matchup. Kyler Murray, we talked about this last week with him on the team there. They're going to be decent. I think that's going to be a really high-scoring, not be a high-scoring game. That's going to be a game that goes down to the fourth quarter. It's a game where it's going to be pretty much whoever can really hold in the red zone and who can do a better job in the red zone offensively. That's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I look at this one. One has a better offense, one has a better defense. And, Kyler Murray is going to take advantage of some things. You look at the defense of the Patriots, it's always a pretty strong defense. You don't see a lot of guys throw up 40 points on the Patriots in the last 20 years. Like, they've consistently had a great defense. But again, the Arizona Cardinals do some sneaky things. On a good weekend, they could score 40 points.
Well, and exactly like I said, you're not going to see big, huge plays come out of this game. You're not going to see 70-yard touchdowns or anything like that. You're going to see short, direct passes from both squads. They run a very similar style that way. Obviously, Kyler Murray being the more versatile, more athletic quarterback running around. Who do they got there now for the Patriots quarterback? Is it Drake May?
Yeah.
And he's not bad. I'm not going to say that he's a terrible quarterback or anything like that, but he's not a generational. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's the kind of guy that's going to be there a few years. They're going to find somebody else. I did see training camp videos of the Patriots where they got a couple more Endelman-style receivers again now. So again, you're going to see those short passes. You're going to see those little turn routes. You're going to see stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one, buddy. I think the Patriots are on a rebuild. They have big shoes to fill from what they've done in the past 20-something years. But again, in this game, I got to give it to the Cardinals this year. I really do believe the Cardinals would beat them. And I'd say my prediction of the score would probably be 21-17.
Yeah, I can see it being pretty close to that. I'm going to go a little bit more. I'm going to probably say like a 20, 28. I can see the Cardinals getting 4, and Patriots are going to be, yeah, I can see 17, 28, 17. Like, it's going to be a good game for sure. All right, round 2.
Here we go.
We got
The Atlanta Falcons.
Falcons. Okay.
Got some up-and-coming stuff going on there.
Versus
Jr.
Cleveland Browns. That's another one of those games where it could go either way. Cleveland Browns, obviously, they're in a quarterback fight right now to see who's going to be the guy. With Falcons, I believe they got Penix Jr. out there, and he's doing good things. It's nice to see these young kids getting the opportunities that they never used to get to be playing quarterback and to do what they can do. And it's really nice to see it. I think they're going to be a successful team. I think they got Bijan Robinson as well, too, running back. Obviously, Browns, they're working hard, but I definitely see this game going more towards the other team. I don't see the Browns taking this win for sure. I think it being a tight game, but again, I think that the Falcons are going to take this one.
I might have to disagree with you on that. My guy, my defensive end there, he might, number 95, he might just be the difference maker in this game.
That could be huge.
Penix Jr. is a young guy, and I see Flacco being the starter. I'm not sure if everyone else sees it that way, but I mean, you're going to want your leadership on first. I'm not saying he's going to be the starter all season, but I see the Cleveland Browns being a little better this year than they were last year. They did the stupidest thing in the world ever, getting rid of Baker Mayfield. If they had Baker Mayfield, I think they would be a top contender in that AFC North. But, on the flip side, Atlanta, they got some speed, like Preston just said. So, I mean, getting rid of, you got to respect Penix Jr. throwing the ball, and you got to respect his feet. And then you got, as you said, that running back. So, I mean, I have to agree with you a little bit that, definitely the Cleveland Browns, they're going to be better, but I just don't think with their ownership and their leadership they have on their team, I don't think they're going to get any better until that changes, similar to the Cowboys.
I'm saying 21-10 for Falcons.
I like that score.
Not going to be a crazy game. It's not going to be any huge plays. It's going to be Penix getting the ball down in the red zone and then Robinson running it in.
100%.
Could even be a cool Simpsons game like they did a couple of years ago with the Falcons.
Right. The Atlanta Falcons.
We got Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, we're not getting any big names.
Versus the Saints.
Man, we got 3 really good matchups.
Solid matchups. Like none of these are going to be blowouts. None of these are going to be any crazy games. But I mean, Panthers versus Saints. Same thing. You got 2 up-and-coming squads that are really working in that rebuild stage. We got Canadian running back for the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard. I think they're going to definitely run the ball a bit. They're going to get successful. But then on the Patriots side, they got a solid defense. So it's going to be tough as well, too.
Yeah, like as I said, like the New Orleans...
On the Patriots side, sorry. The New Orleans side, they got a solid defense.
Like the same thing. Like I see the New Orleans Saints, they got that QB battle going on. Spencer Rattler, like I really believe in Spencer Rattler. I 100%. Think if that guy got some time, we seen him a little bit last year when Derek went down and he was having some flusters. But again, like we talked about, they didn't prepare him well enough for that game when he got thrown in. So like it goes back to saying, hey guys, we got to make sure we're preparing everybody out there at the same way. And so I mean, the New Orleans Saints do have some big pieces. They still have Alvin Kamara. What's the DN called? That has his name there?
Cameron Jordan.
Cameron Jordan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can't forget about these guys. And the other team, Carolina, they got some guys. They lost a lot of big guys in the last couple of years here, too. They're on a rebuild. They got a decent quarterback. It's a tough one. They're both South teams. I think that the edge, it still goes without quarterback. I think the New Orleans Saints still win this game.
I think just defensive-wise, their coordinator is going to take care of it. I think they're going to really shut down the run, and they're going to make them pass the ball. And making them pass is going to be the tough part.
100%.
We got time. We can do one more.
That's it. We got some really good matchups today. Probably the best we've had so far.
We got
Packers
versus...
I seen a real cool story about the Packers yesterday.
Ooh. Well, I'm going to start this one off. We've seen what happened, obviously, week 1 of last year. Packers are in a great squad. They're doing really good. I think Jordan Love and Watson out there are going to be great duo. You're going to see a lot of touchdowns come out of those two for sure. I think it could be a different game this year. Obviously, it's a new team every single year. It's a new season. I definitely give the edge to the Eagles being the Super Bowl champions coming off. But again, it's not going to be some blowout game. It's not going to be some 40-0 kind of game. Like, the Pack's going to score touchdowns. Like, Jordan Love's not a bad quarterback.
Well, I just seen this thing, too. Is just like, Jordan Love has been having a rough camp right now. And so he had some veterans in, the Packers had some veterans in talking to the guys and running some drills with them. And, before the team meetings happened, Clay Matthews took Love aside into a private room. Like, nobody knows what was said, any of those things. But when he came out, they got onto the field and he was rejuvenated. Like, he wasn't, I'm not saying he was a better football player, but he was definitely a better leader on the field, making better decisions, And Clay Matthews is a legendary guy who ran that team.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He was the defensive heartbeat of that team for a long time. And, obviously his vision and his words mean a lot to the guys on the Green Bay Packers. And, I see that going a lot for the Green Bay Packers this year. And that Jordan Love, he's got big shoes to fill, and he's filling them pretty good. When you got to go after Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, those are some big shoes to fill. But like Preston just said, you're playing the champs. And these guys don't even want to be called the champs. They want to be called the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles for a reason, because they're a new team and they got new pieces and they got, a lot of new things. They lost a couple coaches, and they're doing different things. I see this game probably being around 28, 30 points.
It's going to be an explosive game.
To about, I see the Eagles winning by about 9 points.
Like, it's going to be one of those games where, like, there's no way we're stopping the Packers from scoring touchdowns. He's going to hit that deep ball. That's what the Packers quarterbacks always have, and they always will have, is hucking that deep ball. I think it's going to be probably a 34-28.
And I got to say, my boy's there. He's probably putting 14 points up on the board. Let's go. Jacobs, my guy. Wish he never left.
Oh, yeah, he's getting 2 in. I'm telling you right now. He's getting those 2 in. Saquon's going to get at least 1, and I see Smitty getting at least 2.
Definitely.
I can see that for sure.
Maybe A.J. Brown. Well, we all know
what's going to focus on that hard.
And we all know what's going to happen. Jalen Hurts is probably going to rush in for 2 of those touchdowns on the tush push.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, straight up.
Right? And then for all you guys that hate the tush push, remember this. The most important thing about football. It's 12 or 11 guys in American football scoring 1 touchdown on every play. Never forget that.
And every team can do it. They just can't do it as well as us. All right, guys. Well, that was the Wheel of Teams. I thought that was really cool. I really liked that one. So now we're going to roll into some Legends talk. We talked about it a little bit at the early part of the podcast, who you kind of could tell who we were talking about.
Definitely.
He just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that is edge rusher Jared Allen. 2025 Pro Football Hall of Fame class. He joins Antonio Gates, Eric Allen, and Sterling Sharp as the most exclusive class in 2 decades.
I seen a crazy stat. I'm not sure if Press put it on here, but I'm pretty sure he's got the most safeties in the 4 safeties tied for most safeties ever in the NFL, which is a pretty crazy stat.
187 games over 12 seasons. He had 136 career sacks. Should be 1 more on there. Ranked 12th all-time, most anyone active from 2004 to 2015. 171 tackles for a loss. He's got tied 6th most since 1999. Franchise leader for the Vikings. He had 31 forced fumbles, 19 recoveries, 6 interceptions, 58 passes defended, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. 2011 season highlights when he was really rocking it. He had 22 sacks. He was a 2-time sack leader in 2007 and 2011, and just a half sack behind Michael Strahan's single-season record at the time, which, if you actually go back and watch that game, he made that sack.
100%.
The NFL didn't want to claim it for it. He made that sack.
1,000%. And I got to say this, undersized guy. This guy was not big.
He looks like an average Joe. You look at him now when he got his inducting speech and all that stuff, he almost looks like he played quarterback in the NFL. Right. He doesn't look like he was this big, brute defensive lineman, but what he lacked in size, he had in skill and power.
He was just a mean, mugging kind of guy that always played with a chip on his shoulder and a smile on his face because he loved it more than anything.
He bled that purple and gold for Vikings. That was his whole entire aura. And, he was the guy rocking number 69. He's one of the last to ever do it. It might be the last to ever do it because they kind of not really ban it, but it's more of a, teams don't really allow that anymore because of the innuendos and stuff. And now it's all, inclusivity and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, he rocked that and he had a lot of people out there understanding who the Vikings were and understanding who Jared Allen was. When they had the AP offense out there and then you had Jared Allen on the defense, that was disgusting.
I tell you, I don't own a lot of jerseys that aren't Raiders jerseys, but that was one that I had to buy in my younger years because I remember getting to watch him when he was on the Chiefs and thinking how crazy they were. This is like a Micah Parsons situation. They didn't want to pay this guy because they didn't think that he was going to be the real deal for that long. And man, their career back in those days was dismal because they let a guy like that go.
Yep. And like he's known for his explosive bend, violent hands, relentless motor. Whether it was sporting his iconic mullet or a cowboy hat, he delivered those highlight sacks with flair.
You know, I remember this one training camp when he rolled up in a caddy, and it had big horns on the front, and he gets out, and he's got his overalls on like old Vince Wilfork, and he's coming out, and he's got his mullet going, and he was just so proud to be a hillbilly from the sticks, playing in the Boom League and kicking butt.
Just a monster. If you guys want to watch the emotional Hall of Fame speech he had, it was just amazing. Obviously emphasized his faith, his family, and being remembered for more than stats, not just sacks, but his heart and love for the game.
Congratulations, sir.
Hats off to you. So now we're on to the Robbie segment here. We're on to the good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, we're starting with the O-line right now. We're going Colts with the good. Colts O-line looks revitalized. Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly are both healthy going into the 25 campaign, which has been reported a key boost at Colts camp. Colts offensive line struggles in 23-24 were notably improved late last season with the early training camp buzz has been continuously optimistic. Verdict is right now they're kicking butt in practice right now. Look to see the Colts offensive line really revitalize this season. Now let's flip it. You know, the bad, and this one's going to suck for you Commanders fans out there, O-line is still in a flux. You know, Washington's offensive line has been in rotation heavy throughout the last couple seasons. Their center guard battles are ongoing this season and report by outlets like the Commanders Wire. Rookie struggles are plausible.
Yeah.
You know, they got center guard battles going in ongoing thing in their camp right now, coming across the Commanders Wire. So you look here, they need to step it up. They need to prepare, and they need to get some guys in that room that really, really want to protect that great quarterback that they have. All right, so right now we got D-line drama in Carolina. Brian Burns' contract tension is very well documented, and he's shown frustration, and he skipped portions of team activity in past years. Come on, guys. We got to pay these defensive guys. The linemen are the most important guys on the field. You know, reports from the sideline involving arguments between Todd Walsh and Gross Matos, You know, it hasn't been verified yet, but it looks like out there that there's some bad blood between those two guys. So right now, the ugly is really, you know, Carolina really needs to get their D-line room and their head coach on the same page.
100%. You know, it sounds like they're kind of switching to more of a hybrid defensive front with a new defensive leadership. You know, and at the end of the day, when you do kind of stuff like that, it's going to change the line that you have out there. It's going to change the flow you have out there because now different guys got to flow in different spots. They got to mesh with each other and think it's going to work or it's not going to work. And so that can really be an ugly part because, you know, you're going to change everything up to hopefully work, but you never know.
And before we get off, I really kind of want to go back to that football game we watched last night before we go. And, you know, it was really cool for us because we had a couple guys, one on each team that, you know, played for us last year as offensive line, defensive lineman at the St. Joe Celtics. I'm not going to name their names because, you know, that's just not who I am. But it was really great to see, you know, guys that we seen play for us in different leagues come out and show true leadership.
Oh, yeah.
Like we had one guy on the field, one guy off the field. You know, the one guy's, you know, he's an up-and-comer. And the other guy played for the little bit lesser of a team. But, man, when they called his number last night, he really killed it. He showed out.
Played so well.
And he's 18 years old, might even be 17 years old. And he's playing against possibly a 23-year-old grown-up. And he showed out so hard last night. We got to have pictures with him after the game. And the other guy, you know, he is kicking butt at practice, and he's making waves around here, and he's doing really great things. And I just wanted to say I was so proud to see the St. Joe Celtics representing last night and doing it with great class, and great respect.
Well, and there's obviously more guys that are from the St. Joe's program that were on that team. You know, that guy a couple of years ago playing for the Sun. You know, you get to see those guys out there that are putting the work in. That, you know, they were guys we got to see when they were young kids. I mean, the one guy we got to coach when he was in Pee Wee football, and to see him out there playing was just it's the coolest thing ever because you know these young men are becoming good members of society, becoming good people, and it's so cool. You know, it's football. The dream never ends. The dream doesn't end until you decide it to end. So, you know, that's my big saying to all these kids out there is that if you want it, it's going to be there. But it all comes down, like Cam Ward, great quote this week I seen where he was talking about, and this is the best thing you could ever tell anybody playing football, playing any sport, is that he said, I watch my dad get up every single day and go to work at 4:30 for a job he hates. And if I can't come into this job that I love playing with a smile on my face and wanting to be here, I shouldn't be here. And that comes down to any kid in sports. And you see your parents, they're going to work every day, they're providing for you, they're doing all this stuff. And if you don't think that you can train a little bit, you don't want to run hills, you don't want to go and train in the off season to get better, you don't want to go to practice and all this stuff, why are you there? Because at the end of the day, if you treat it like a job and you treat it like you want to be successful in this position, you want to be successful in any sport that you're playing, I mean, I promise you, it is going to make you such a better athlete and a better person because you now know the hard work it takes to get there. There's lots of kids that are just talentedly gifted. I've seen it here and there where these kids are just so good, and if they just put a little bit more time in training and a little bit more time into practice, they could be going to the league. They could be going to the CFL. They could go to youth sports and do these things, go to junior and do these things. And it just all comes down to how hard you want to put the work in to see the outcome come from that.
100%. Like year in and year out, I've watched guys from our programs that we were part of, go to uni and go to junior and do those big things. And it's like, those are the guys that understand that sports are 24/7, 365.
Oh, yeah.
And so as a lineman or whatever you're going to do, you have to be willing to be that guy every single day when you wake up in the morning, go for your grind, and every single night when you go to bed, do the right things.
Well, I can tell you, we have a couple linebackers on the high school team that we coach that they have a few linebackers on the high school team that we coach that are really showing and proving out there that, they're putting the work in on both sides of the field. They're doing the good things in the community. They're out there. Like I heard one was speaking at a school, doing stuff for kids and doing that kind of stuff. And that to me just warmed my heart so much to know that someone could be as successful as they are at football and still give back to the community you're from and give back to the people and the kids, man. That's what it's all about.
That's 100% the reason that, that I still dream to be a coach at some point in my life. And, it will happen again, but to know that there's guys out there that are doing the right things. And coaches, I'm talking to you, only do the right things. Make sure confidence before criticism comes every single time. That was the greatest gift that I ever got from a coach, was letting me know, hey, if you're going to break a guy down and tell him he did something wrong, make sure you build him up before you do that. Because you don't want to jeopardize him being sunk in the mud for 2-3 weeks and not getting out of his head and not being able to play football. You got to be that coach, you got to be the mentor, and you got to be the guy.
Exactly. It all comes down to, at the end of the day, you're the grown-up, they're the kid. And if you have to keep that relationship, you have to keep it. You can't be their best friend all the time. You have to have that stern role and understanding that, you're there to provide a service to them. You're there to provide that leadership and that mentorship. And sometimes that isn't even about football. Sometimes it's about life. Sometimes it's about all that kind of stuff. And you can't waver off that. You can't just choose one day you're going to be the guy and one day you're not. You have to be consistent all the time with these kids. You got to be so well-mannered. And a good coach once taught me that you hang your shit at the door. And it doesn't matter what's going on in your life. If you're a player, if you're a coach in any sport, man, that even in work, man, when you get into a job, that if you can just go in, hang your problems at the door, you can pick them back up when you're done. Always. They're always going to be there. Your problems ain't just going to go away. Right. But if you can have a 2-hour, especially for these young men, these young kids, man, if they can have 2 hours of their life where they don't have to think about their home life, they don't have to think about school, they don't have to think about anything going on, they can just focus on football, you're going to have such a more successful program, a successful team.
Right. And a good mentor will always make a bad player better.
Oh,
by bad player, I don't mean not like on the field bad, but I mean, we got some of these guys that, they've had trouble past and, they don't have the communication at home. They don't have that rock solid at home. And if you can be that person in their life, you could shape their future and change the way that they're going to live out the rest of their life.
Oh, yeah, man. I've seen many kids' lives from playing and coaching that football saved their life. And I mean that seriously, in the sense of, having that bond, having that team membership, having that team leadership around it. Like even my own nephew, it's amazing to see what football and what camaraderie and teamwork can really do to a kid.
1,000%.
So guys, that's the main meat and potatoes of the episode. A little short and sweet. Obviously, I'm out here in Kelowna. I'm having fun. So, we had to make this one a little quicker, a little jotted around. But we've been doing lots of stuff. We'll be back next week, just in the regular format, obviously. So I just want to say, recapping what we talked about here, overconfidence, it just kills execution quicker than injuries ever will. Whether you're a high school lineman, you're watching Allen terrorize quarterbacks for a decade, it's about respecting every rep and prep hard and play harder. So I thank you for tuning into the Hoggie Shuffle. Hit us up on all the socials as well, too. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we got the YouTube Shorts, we got the Instagram, we got the TikToks. We're trying out there to push as much as we can. I know you probably noticed this week hasn't been too much in the TikToks and stuff like that. Been busy. I've been having fun. I've been enjoying myself.
I've been at the lake.
So, like always, stay square.
Stay nasty.
See you back next week.
See you guys.